and welcome to episode 4 of the Love Your Shelf podcast. And I'm Crystal Hicks at the Nacogdoches Public Library, and here with me is...
I'm Emily Childress. Thank you for having me, as always.
And we are actually in the library for this one, so we're making plans to be able to see you all pretty soon. So stay tuned for information about that. But what we're sort of focused on right now is the upcoming summer. And so those of you who are listening probably know about the summer reading program at the library because you're probably already fans. But that is something that we do. It's our big time every summer when all the kids are out of school, and we want to keep people reading and engaged and doing things during the summer months. But things are going to be a little bit different this year, so that's kind of what we've been planning and hashing out and figuring out what we're going to do. And
it's a lot to think about.
It is a lot to think about. And things change every day, too. So we've got that to contend with as well. But you know, we like a challenge, right?
Absolutely. That's why we're here.
Exactly. So we're going to get it worked out, and we'll have lots of fun stuff planned. But the theme for the summer is what we've been talking about today, and it's imagine your story. And so it's basically lots of fairy tales and magic and that kind of thing. And so we've been discussing, well, we're sitting here surrounded by princess hats, which we haven't decided what if that's the technical term for those.
The pointy ones.
The pointy
I think it's
ones.
princess hat. I think that's right.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to go with. I'm sure that there is an actual term. So if anybody knows that, feel free to share that with us. But so, you know, and we've got a castle in the works and all kinds of things like that. So we're definitely, I don't know, getting into the depths of
all things fairy tale.
Fairy tale, yeah.
Yeah, and it's been a lot of fun to research.
Right, yeah, and mythology as well, and so there's lots of different things. But we kind of got to thinking about, you know, looking up these fairy tales, and their origins are much darker than the Disney-fied versions that we are probably the most familiar with. And so we were, you know, looking at, for example, some things that like weirdo videos and anime stuff that I watched as a kid, probably with my parents not really realizing that it was something odd about it. But so I remembered watching, only after starting to do this research, and a video from 1975 that is like the real Hans Christian Andersen version of The Little Mermaid. And
which is pretty bold to make a cartoon with the original ending.
Yes, very much. So part of the story is that, so the
well, and we should say, disclaimer, these are not necessarily kid friendly, or they're not kid friendly. I will say that outright. That was sort of the line I had to find there. I had to figure out how I could tell some of these stories and stay true to the original story, but find a happier twist for the end. Keep it kid friendly.
Yes, anyway. So thank you. Definitely a disclaimer on this one. But for those of you who don't know, the original Little Mermaid, she falls in love with the prince from afar. So there's, you know, some similarities in the beginning. But when she trades her fin for legs, there's some additional details. Like, first of all, it's going to feel like she's being stabbed with a sword, so it's super painful. And then it will feel like she's walking on knives when she walks on these legs. So,
The things a teenager will do for love, I guess.
or they imagine themselves
Right.
able to do, yeah.
Right.
And so, and to add insult to injury, the prince, of course, she can't speak because she has no tongue and she can't talk. But so this is really not a great trade off, is what I'm going to say. Like this,
No.
I can't think of anybody. I mean, maybe,
I mean,
Johnny
how
Depp or
how
something.
hot was this guy? Because
Right.
you didn't know him.
Right. Yeah. So it was just, and I think in the original, she falls in love with the statue of him that has fallen
Oh,
to the bottom of the ocean.
all right. Well,
So it's a great statue. So that's the power of art, I think, is the
oh yeah, yeah. Okay,
yes,
that's a good twist.
right. So she goes on land. She meets him, and he loves to see her dance. So even though it's super painful and feels like walking on knives, she dances for him all the time.
Oh
And
gosh, poor
yes,
Ariel. is,
yes,
is
and
her
so,
name Ariel in the original?
no, I don't
I
think
wonder where
so.
that came from.
I'm not sure.
Just a Disney invention.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't. That wasn't part of my research, but
Right,
um,
right, right.
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
That's okay.
So she does. Somehow she has some kind of relationship with this guy, but he wants to actually marry somebody else, and so he does. And then her sisters come find her and tell her that if she takes this magical dagger and stabs him, and the blood goes onto her feet, then she'll be able to turn back into a mermaid and go back to her regular life.
Does
But
she have to put the blood on her feet or just hope that's where it lands? Because this is all just so
it's
much of a gamble. I mean, it's all a gamble.
exactly, yeah. I mean, the rules themselves, like I can't even keep up with it. And so she decides she doesn't want to do that, and instead she throws herself into the sea and turns into sea foam. And that's the ending of this cartoon version that I saw as a kid. And which I think I was telling you earlier, I didn't even think about that movie until I just started looking at this, and I had completely forgotten that it existed. And but you can see it. It's in its entirety. It's on YouTube. You can
Oh,
search for it.
I'll have to watch it because I like
Yeah.
how you and I grew up with the opposite versions of this story. Like, I wonder what kind of, how different were the impressions that these movies made on us, because I grew
Just
up with the
this
Disney
one,
version. Yeah.
yeah. Just this one movie. I got the dark one, and you got the light
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm the evil one, and you're the good.
I believe in love and you don't.
Hey, there is something to this, actually.
Oh, these
So,
are just crazy.
so what did you have any like that you found?
Yeah, I looked one of the first one that kind of I have a couple that I jotted down here. Um for Snow White, I mean there were a lot of differences, but the ending, the dark ending, I'm going to jump straight to that. The evil queen, in the Disney version that we've all seen it, the queen as the witch kind of is, I think she falls off a cliff or something like that. In this version, however, she is made to wear red hot iron slippers and dance in them until she dies. So I can't think of anything worse than that. And I mean, just so many questions, so many dark questions that go alongside that. Rapunzel, the witch makes the prince believe that Rapunzel is dead. Once he thinks she's dead, he jumps from her tower, and he doesn't die from that. He's quote unquote saved by a shrub, I guess, lands on a really strong shrub. But then he loses his sight from the fall. And I don't know, like, did something fall in his eyes? Was it just that force did he just land with such force that he lost his sight? But what Cinderella, I guess I didn't know this. There were a couple of different endings with Cinderella. One of them, This is so messed up. Cinderella kills her evil stepmother by slamming the lid of a chest on her throat and
Oh,
breaking her neck.
yikes.
I know. I was like, wow, okay, this girl is capable of a lot of some dark things.
Yeah.
And then the version that I remembered was this is the Brothers Grimm version. The stepsisters each cut off parts of their feet in trying to wear the glass slipper so that it fits. And then
Right.
once that is revealed that that's what they did, Cinderella's little bird friends that follow her around peck out their eyes.
Ew.
So I know. But I guess it was good to have those birds on your side. I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't realize that the woodland creatures would go to those lengths,
I
but
know. I didn't even know they were included in the original versions. So there was some truth to
well,
that. We just
good to
didn't see
know.
them go rogue. Yeah. But those are the three that I thought of. I was reading up on the ending to Sleeping Beauty, and I said to Crystal, I think this is even too dark for this conversation. I mean,
Yeah,
so if you're interested, you can go look that up, but it's really awful.
right. So basically, all of this to say that these will not be necessarily the fairy tales that we're going to present for summer reading. Um, but but if you are an adult, that's and you're into these things, there's lots out there
It's
to bring.
fascinating. It is.
Yes.
It's crazy.
And so um, with this and with the imagine your story as the theme, and then and moving into myths and fairy tales and stuff like that, we also want to announce that we are going to be we're doing the community read again, and the book for this year is Circe by Madeline Miller. And
Yay.
so, yay! That's the that's the
Hmm.
announcement. Um,
You heard it
and
here first.
exactly, this is.
Truly.
But yeah, so there will be more coming out about that soon. But just to announce that we do have digital copies of it available if you want to check it out. But it is, I don't know what your feelings are about it, but I really love the book. I thought it was really um, unusual, but it's a take on the myth of Circe, who was um, the daughter of Helios, god of the sun, who was a titan. And so she's not fully a goddess. She's kind of like in a limbo, sort of between not really being human and not really being a
Hmm.
goddess
Right.
either. Um, but she's becomes powerful, and you get to see lots of other characters in that story, since it is based on myth, that we will be familiar. And so,
Right.
um, and I actually just saw today that it's being adapted for an HBO series.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's exciting.
Oh,
Uh,
that is cool. Because, yeah, I, on the other hand, have not read it yet, but I'm really excited about it. Just from what you've told me, what I've read about it, I'm excited
yeah,
to read it.
yeah, she's basically, she gets banished to an island, and in the Odyssey, you actually Odysseus meets her, and she turns all of his men into pigs. So that's sort of how
Oh,
she's
I love that
that's her most
crossover.
famous.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's her most famous characterization. But
Cool.
in this book, it follows her solely. It's not the story is
Hmm.
about her, not about Odysseus. So um, anyway, so we're really excited about that and looking forward to that coming up very soon. Um, and then, so we can kind of transition, unless you have any other
No,
terrifying myths you wanted to.
I was going to say, I think we've hit them with enough,
Okay.
enough darkness for now.
So on another sort of light note, we've had a couple of coincidental situations, I guess, or encounters lately. Recently, our friends had brought Naomi Shihab Nye, the children's poet laureate, to visit Nacogdoches,
Mm-hmm.
and she got to visit the library. And I was super excited to get to meet her because I had years ago with my family, we had a set of VHS tapes,
Of
and
course.
of course, and had all of Bill Moyer's Language of Life
Mm-hmm.
recorded on them. And she was one of the poets that was sort of immortalized in that poetry series. And so I had seen her do her performance just, I don't even know, countless times. We just watched them over and over. And so it was very odd getting to meet her. But you actually have a connection with Bill Moyers.
Yeah. So a while ago, my dad has always been big on writing letters to his heroes, and it's actually, I mean, a few times resulted in a friendship. And so he did that. I don't quote me on this, but I think that's how he and Bill Moyers got in touch years ago. And I remember as a kid, he came to visit. My dad's a pastor, and he came to visit my dad's church and heard him preach. And I wrote something. I don't know if it was about my my dad and his church, or if that was just a part of it. I don't remember. I was pretty young. In any case, I heard recently, so we've been my dad's been holding church services virtually, and it's been pretty cool to see just who are in other places around the country have been able to sort of see my dad preach. But anyway, we found out that Bill Moyers has been listening to my dad's services and listening to him preach, and told him he's been preaching some great sermons, and it makes me so proud of my dad.
That's
First of all,
amazing.
I know. So yeah, my mom told me that the other night, and I thought it was really, really cool.
Yeah, it's funny how things, like I had watched that poetry series over and over and over,
Yeah.
and then just didn't think about it for a decade or two,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then suddenly I, remember, and there's even certain passages or parts of it that I could probably recite even,
Mm-hmm.
um, and it comes back and crosses your path again, and it's crazy how that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. No, great, great coincidence.
Yeah. Well, so now we can talk a little bit about maybe what we're reading and watching. Of course, I've been like revisiting um, stuff and looking at fairy tales and thinking about the things that we're going to do for the summer. So that's kind of been my reading time. But I've been watching, there's a season 2 of Homecoming on Netflix.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Yay.
And I didn't even realize that it was coming out, and it just like one of those I love it when it happens when you go to find
Oh,
something and then it just pops
agreed.
up and you're like, this is perfectly exactly
Yeah.
what I wanted to watch. And so if you haven't watched that show, the first season focuses on Julia Roberts plays the main
Mm-hmm.
character. And she's not in this second season so far, but
Oh, okay.
Janelle Monáe plays the main character.
How cool.
Yes, and so it's, I won't give anything away, but
Mm-hmm.
it's in the same world, but it's following the path of a different character.
Very cool. Did you listen to it as a podcast?
I did not.
Yeah, I did. I can't remember how I found it several years ago, but it was really fun to listen to. It kind of um, I imagine it to be sort of like I don't know, what was it? Was it War of the Worlds that everyone heard on the radio? Yes, and thought it
Oh,
was actually happening. Not that I thought this was actually happening, but just that same sort of radio listening where you can
mm.
hear, the sounds of the footsteps. And it was just really fun to listen to. So I'm excited to watch season 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and listen to that because I find it to be so odd. It's like
Hmm.
the tone of it. I can't even describe what the
Yeah.
tone is. It's
Yeah.
almost like wacky, but it's very dark.
It is. I mean,
But it
it's
has kind of like this madness, like an edge to it or
absolutely.
something.
And that's why I think that was what's so interesting about listening to it is they did such a great job of capturing that without, being able to see emotion or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was you should definitely listen to it.
Yes, it's very over the top.
Hmm. Well, I hate to admit this too. I also haven't picked up anything new, partly because I'm leaving. I'm going on vacation today, quarantine vacation today. Um, I'm literally going to like a remote house, so no one worry. But I won't have Wi-Fi, which I'm actually pretty excited about. So I have a couple of things that I picked up to read, so I'll let you guys know afterward. But I just started watching a couple of things. I told Crystal about one earlier, so I will mention a different one, which now that I think about it, I think I told you about this also. We joked that we just shouldn't talk to each other anymore because we
We
need to,
spoil our
we
conversation.
do. But I started watching Catherine the Great, or no, it's just called The Great on Hulu. It's brand new, and I only watched the first episode, but it's really wacky. It's the same maybe producers and or director. The movie The Favorite that came out last year with Olivia Colman. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of that same idea, same vibe, but
Yeah,
it's
I
yeah.
started it too. I
Oh, you
started
did?
it on your recommendation. Yeah, and it's another one that the tone is just
Yeah,
very
wacky. It's also
strange. Yeah.
wacky and
Yes.
dark.
Yeah. So
Wacky and
there's
dark. I guess that's where we're landing right now.
yeah, pretty
But
much down the line.
I did enjoy it. I think I told you like the first episode even kind of I don't know, made me feel this almost like call to arms, like okay, women, we can rise up and rule.
Right. Right.
So anyway, I do recommend that. The Great on Hulu.
Yes, and Homecoming is on Netflix. And then sort of I will kind of wrap it up with one of my like all-time favorites. I was so sad when the show ended, but they came back with like a new episode of it, The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh, I had no
Uh,
idea.
yes. It's an interactive episode.
What
So it's like
is
a
this?
choose
It's
your
on
own adventure.
Netflix?
Yes.
Oh man, where have I been? And this is not a
Exactly.
fake conversation. We have not talked about
No,
this.
we have not. No, I'm surprising her right now. But no, it is that show is brilliant. If you haven't watched it and you like 30 Rock or that kind of thing,
Yeah.
it's it's even wackier than 30 Rock,
Hmm.
but it's smart and funny and um, also dark. So here we're staying in the same lanes, but um, but but dark in the way that like within the title tells you, that Kimmy Schmidt is unbreakable. So it doesn't matter what she goes through,
Yeah.
she's gonna see the good in it, and
Yeah.
and the other cast of characters are just amazing.
Hmm.
Um, Titus Andromedon is her
Hmm.
roommate and has some of the best lines of television ever.
Oh, absolutely.
Um,
And I
and so
feel
yes,
and he's always, I mean, I see memes all the time using different expressions that he makes because, yeah,
yeah, it's hilarious.
he's got a story to tell.
Exactly. And so yes, so there is like a new interactive episode of that, and so that has been what's made me happy this week. In addition to all of those other things, but that one for sure, that's gonna have you cracking up.
Yeah, I'll have to check that one out.
How about you? Do you have any?
Well, okay, so here I go with another crime show that I've discovered. um, so this one is it's a British crime comedy, sort of. It's called No Offense, and it's spelled in the British way with a CE at the end. It's really great. There's the captain of their police squad is this short, stout woman who I mean, she's such a great leader. I really adore her character. She's, just a great combination of sort of bulldog and sweetheart. um, and really the women are the main characters and at the helm um, of their police force. There are male characters, of course, but they're really sort of, I don't know, side characters. And yeah, and I mean, it's just funny because I always talk about how I love seeing women in powerful positions, um, but I'm still used to seeing men in these positions. So even I realized I'm conditioned to see things a certain way, and so I don't know. I'm really enjoying this show, and it is, wait for it, dark. So yeah, definitely a dark, wacky comedy, but I'm really enjoying it so far. So that's No Offense, and I found it on Amazon Prime. I think it's streaming through Acorn TV.
Uh, there's a lot out there. Like, there's a joke everybody is going around like we've watched all of Netflix, but
Oh no,
Amazon Prime is there's a
I
lot of depth.
yes, I mean, if I finish something, I'll go back to, if I really enjoyed it and I want to watch something similar, I'll go back to what I watched, and kind of, you can go underneath and it'll have, titles similar to this, or people who watched this also watched this. And I've discovered some really really great things that way.
Yeah. Well, I think that is going to wrap it up for us. Hopefully, you all are enjoying listening. And if you want to share with us this week, we kind of have a little contest each week. Um, if you can think of a weirder fairy tale or story like that, where the original is much stranger than
Mm-hmm.
the scrubbed, clean version, we'd love to hear about it. And we will look forward to chatting next week.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks.